Good morning, everybody, or day or night, wherever you are, because we're in a global time zone now. Yesterday we spoke about motivation, and specifically motivation in the face of depression. And I don't mean sadness, I mean like the clinical term where you have a chemical imbalance, where I struggle with it, uh, the thing that demotivates me. So I seem to have like two states when it comes to motivation, and it's like either I'm manic and I'm hyper creative and I can do 100 projects in a day. Some of them were impossible for me to even attempt 10 years ago, and now I can do 10 literally start to finish in a day. It's incredible to sit back and watch, and I sleep very well. I feel very satisfied and fulfilled by the end of that day. The next day, I might be in the other mode where I'm like, wow, I just started 100 projects. I finished 10. I've got 90 left, and I don't want to do any of them. I'd rather just sit here and eat bagels and play Xbox all day or something. So motivation is important. Rest is important. I'm not saying rest isn't important. It's okay to have downtime. You can't, the ocean isn't always, the tide isn't always up. Sometimes the tide goes out. The ocean is in and the ocean is out, and it flows in and it flows out. That's the natural state of things. So if you have like a natural balance for productivity and motivation and demotivation, then don't change anything. But if you're like me and you're like either hyper creative or hyper non-creative, then what could really help is consistency. So consistency, I've noticed with successful people, they tend to show up the same all the time, and they're not always the hero. They're not always the loser. They're pretty steady people. So I admire this about people. I think it's really important. If you look at history, a lot of successful people that have been shot down, like the Beatles were shot down by like 7 labels before they got signed. And the colonel who started KFC was denied like 1,000 loans. And then, of course, there's the famous story of Edison who couldn't get the light bulb to work. And when they asked, how did you fail so many times and keep going? He said, well, I didn't fail. He's like, I just figured out 999 ways to not make a light bulb. So I think this is my theory, okay? Don't take this as fact. This is my theory. My theory is that some of us, our subconscious is can be self-defeating. And so there's an external force, like the people who say no, we're not going to give you your loan. No, we're not going to sign your deal. No, your invention's not going to work. There's that external force that if you use repetition and consistency, you can overcome that. There's also an inside voice that says, you're going to fail. This isn't good for you. This is outside of your comfort zone. And maybe it doesn't say that like literally, but you get the feeling that you're getting outside of your comfort zone, and then you don't feel good in that space, and then you just go back to it. And so sometimes you'll either do things that will dismantle your work, which I've done many times. I'm a great builder. It's like, but consistency is an issue for me. Many times you'll like build and then you'll take it apart because building feels good, but then now it's time to be successful, and that's scarier than failure to some people, depending on how we were raised. So then you'll move back into your comfort zone. So there's an external force saying no, and then there's an internal force saying no. And if you really want whatever it is you want, then consistency overrules the external no's, and it overrules the internal no's. If you just continue to repeatedly give it another shot over and over and over again. So I actually have, do I have a marker on here? I have a something that I used to call, I call EARM, EARM, which is educate, apply, repeat, master. So if you want to do something, maybe you're an intuitive and you just like thought of it one day and you, in the very rare case, you thought of it and in the very first try you just executed it and it worked. It happens. It's very rare. In more often than not, you'll think of something, you'll then need to educate yourself on it, whether it's an invention or whatever, a business. You'll need to, it'll serve you. You don't need to educate yourself, but it would serve you to educate yourself about it and about the industry and about the people and the players and the maybe a business model of a business like the one you want to create or an idea you want to create, and you can actually, you know, do research and find somebody who's done it already and then be able to use that as like a model to follow with your own special tweaks. So to educate yourself is step one, but you haven't actually done anything yet. It's kind of like a doctor goes to school to become a surgeon and he's gone through 8 years of school, but maybe he's never even cut into a cadaver. Well, now he's cut into a cadaver. This is application. That's the second step. So now he's cut into a cadaver for his first time. Now he's applied his education, what he's learned. But now, this is the craziest thing. You can spend like $250,000 on your education to become a surgeon, never have ever cut into a live human body until you leave school, and now you're an intern. Like you come out of 8 years of school, even if it's Harvard, and you land in a hospital, and it's like you're the first, you're at the bottom of the totem pole at the hospital. There's some guy who's been at the hospital for 30, 40 years, cutting into people and saving their lives for 4 decades, and you haven't even done your one. And you're already educated and you've applied some of what you know, but you haven't been in the space of what's called repetition. And that's where, like, you know, the head surgeon has got repetition down. He or she have been educated and applied what they know repeatedly so many times that they could be considered an expert or a master. Now, they call medicine a practice because it's never truly mastered according to, you know, doctors. Same with law, because things are always changing. You know, technology is changing, knowledge, education, information, how people respond to certain things, medicines or treatments, those things change. So it's not something you can ever really master. Golf, basketball, even being an entrepreneur, like there's no perfect way to do it. So the repetition, the practice kind of go hand in hand, and you learn through that up until the space into mastery. And being a master doesn't mean you're perfect. You get into the mastery part, and then you have like people like Babe Ruth, who is like one of the, you know, greatest hitters of all time, you know, and he was hitting, you know, he was batting 300. He's missing the ball 7 times out of 10, you know, and considered a master. You know, same goes for basketball, same goes for golf. You know, a master is not getting a hole in one every time. It's just, you know, they're getting a better score. They understand the lay of the land. They understand how, you know, wind works and backspin and things of that nature. So don't discount yourself. If you're not perfect at something, don't discount yourself. You can be an expert. Maybe you're not even a master per se, but maybe you're the foremost knowledgeable person in your area or your field or whatever. That's where you start to step into the realm of mastery. And through repetition, what you tend to find out are three main things. You find out what something is, you find out what it isn't, the exact opposite, and then you learn all of the little shades of gray in between. And this is where people with experience won't always jump to hard conclusions right away, because they've seen things that look good go bad and things that look bad go well. And so people with inexperience tend to say, well, it's either this way or that way. And that's how it looks when you start out a journey. There's really only 2, maybe 3 paths. But if you've been down that road many, 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 many times, and You know, there's things that happen that you just could never even dream would happen. And this has happened to you multiple times. You start to realize that you, as a master, you really don't know. You, the more you learn, the more you realize you just don't know. That you can educate yourself, you can follow your intuition. I mean, how many entrepreneurs started out 2020 being like, yeah, this is my year. And then, you know, the coronavirus hit and crushed our economy in like 3 weeks. Nobody counted on that except for, well, probably the guys that's in Wall Street, but that's only a small percentage of the entire economy, like of the entire nation. You know, most people either starting out their fifth or 10th business or their first business at the beginning of this year were not gearing up to be like locked in their houses for 6 weeks. So, you know, it just goes to show. I mean, I had plans. I wanted to go on a big sales journey. I just wanted to load my vehicle up. I got a trailer hitch installed in my vehicle. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to drive to stores and go sell product and go speak and do sacred geometry classes, you know, sacredgeometrygeek.com. What? I'm still building that website, by the way. So, you know, I had a bunch of plans for Lucid Distribution, my new company. And then this whole thing happened. So, um, you know, at the beginning of the year, did I just think automatically? I mean, having owned 10 businesses between from the age 18 up until now, did I just think everything was going to go perfectly? No way. I mean, when I was 25, you know, I got divorced, I lost a son, I was homeless, I didn't have a car. You know, that was after I built a whole life for myself. I lost everything. When I was 30, the housing market crashed in 2008, 2009. I'd built a $500,000 company with me and my friends, only to lose that and then end up 100 grand in the hole in the same place. Ended up without a house, without a car, without a girlfriend, dead broke again. Fast forward, I have this huge spiritual awakening. I then start teaching about sacred geometry. I then launch Soulworks Decals, my super fresh decal company, right? Then I launched Vibe Bottle with Brinley. Then we went on the Teach Peace tour, Brinley and I, our little family. And then we were doing we were doing bottles, you know, by hand. Eventually we found mass production. Eventually we get into 100 stores. And then last year, like, was just a terrible year for us. Our partnerships fell apart. The company has not been doing well. And we thought, you know, 2020 we would recover. And now this hit. And do I think I'm going to lose everything? Maybe. I'm not even, I don't feel great about it, but I'm not scared. Like, I've had what they call like extinction level events happen multiple times. And you know what doesn't change? Educating myself, applying my education, repeating that, and trying to master it. That will never change. The only thing that changes is the environment. The environment either nurtures rapid growth or it doesn't. It either nurtures rapid expansion or you have to cut fat and you have to reduce down to the bare bones things that are going to keep you going. And I'm saying this being like a, what do they call them, an apocalypse optimist, like the apocalypse optimist come together. It's like, even if it's the zombie apocalypse, it doesn't matter if we're trading seashells or goats. You're going to have to figure out a way to create value for yourself and your family in whatever society we live in, whether it's a fully functioning society or a broken one or Mad Max and Armageddon, you know? The need to create things that other people need will never go away unless you become a plant living on an island that can produce its own food from the sun. We're always going to need us to contribute to the social structure in order to survive. So, yes, I was going to talk about goals today, but I guess I'm going to talk about goals tomorrow. Today, we talked about EARM, EARM, and consistency, repetition. So, what are some of the problems? You're probably like, well, Zoe, repetition takes energy. Hell yeah, it does. And my heart goes out to you. I'm 41, and The only reason I have any energy is because I work out every day. Seriously, I used to believe that it would take my energy away. It actually starts my engine. And I know that think about this for a sec. We used to be cavemen. We used to burn 4 or 5 thousand calories a day, like moving rocks, fighting saber-toothed tigers, running for our lives, building shelter, collecting firewood. Like we are very capable machines. Your body is like an SUV for the planet. It can climb, it can swim, it can run, it can crawl, it can do all kinds of cool things. And so we don't burn that many calories anymore. We sit a lot. We sit when we work. We sit when we drive. We sit on airplanes and fly across the country. Like we're a very sedentary species now. Now I've heard that doesn't even contribute to obesity. It's really like diet that contributes to obesity. What I'm saying though is you have more energy than you think. Really, I used to believe in my 20s and 30s that I was tired all the time, and then I just stopped believing that. And I now have more energy now that I'm older. It's pretty crazy. Plus, I try to, drink a lot of water and eat well. But the point is, being a father of three, I've got a 2-year-old baby girl that I got to run around and chase, and I love it. I love being able to chase her up and down stairs and all over the, playground and stuff. My 9-year-old, he plays football. My 17-year-old, he's just a beast. He's just like an awesome human being that most of the time we sit around and talk. But yeah, if he and I ever want to go out and do something cool, like go camping or whatever, like I have the energy to do that. Plus run 2 businesses. Plus when I'm in a relationship is like a full-time job. And plus having to manage myself, working out and meditating and journaling and, I mean, running your own businesses means you're moving a lot of product. Like I'm usually making stuff, or I'm packing my truck and I'm moving stuff, or I'm delivering, or I'm packing boxes. Like it requires a lot of energy. And then there's the emotional side. It's like when you have depression, if you're battling that, there's a whole section of energy that has to go to overcoming that part. So yes, I do recognize that. That's why I say exercise, sleep well, eat well. That will help you with the actual raw amount of power you need to engage in the act of repetition. I also take things like, sometimes I take Q96 for my brain, because I'm a very creative brain, and so in order to stay focused, I've tried Q96. I loved it for years. I'm now trying Alpha Brain, the thing that Joe Rogan has sponsored, and I like it. Has a couple side effects, like my stomach messes with my stomach a little, but that's it. Definitely worth the benefit over the side effects. I've taken stress from Alani Nu for, instead of Xanax. I haven't taken a prescription drug in like 11 years because I'm clean and sober. I drink coffee. I drink a lot of water. I don't drink alcohol. I don't believe smoking weed is wrong, but I get hungover from it and it makes me foggy. So I don't smoke weed a lot. If I do, it's like once a year or once every 6 months. If I'm going camping, I got nothing to do for 2 days, and it's okay for my brain to be a zombie or something. But I would highly recommend plant medicine over synthetic man-made medicine any day, because it's just doesn't kill people. I don't know how else to be more logical than that. Very low chance of dying in addiction. The 2 things I'm not a fan of. So if somebody was like, yo, you have to be on Xanax, I'd be like, I would choose a plant. I would choose CBD, some kind of type of CBD, and some kind of plant, but anything. Essential oils are good too. I know some people say they're woo-woo, but some of them don't work, but some of them do. Like lavender really works well for me. Peppermint works well for my digestion. Lavender helps me with, like, I've got tattoos. Like I've had lavender and coconut oil heal my skin. I've had it heal burns within minutes. Like thieves oil that Young Living makes. I've had sore throats. I drink it. It's like drinking gasoline. Like you can drink it. It's safe to drink, but it burns like hardcore. And I've cured my sore throats in literally less than an hour or two. Wake up with one at 6 in the morning, drink some Thieves straight to the dome, and then within like by 8 a.m. I'm straight and I'm ready to work. So yeah, so that I guess is my message for the day. I hope that helps you guys out. I will be loading these up to my YouTube channel. Just look for Zoe Peacemaker or hashtag Sacred Geometry Geek. Notice I use geek and not expert because I'm still just a geek. I don't think I'm. Nassim Harriman is a sacred geometry expert. That dude is legit. He's my hero. I'm just a geek. I just like think it's pretty and I make stuff out of it. So, and sacred geometry is literally the pattern of the code written into the universe. Whether you believe in a god or you believe in you're an atheist and you believe that this is a holographic simulation, you will find geometry in the fabric of space and time. Doesn't matter what you believe. That's just like one of those objective truths. I gotta love it. And nobody fights over sacred geometry. That's the best thing. It's just pretty. Well, that's our message for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, if this is a YouTube video, like and subscribe and comment. If you have more questions, hit me up. I will be doing a marketing class. I do a marketing class for creative and intuitive people. I'll be doing that for free. I'll do a Facebook Live of about 10 minutes of it. The rest of it will be on Zoom. You can come to Zoom for free. The reason I do that is because I myself am both creative and intuitive. I've been practicing shamanism since I was 15. I'm a Reiki master now. And basically, creatives and intuitives operate from the heart and the crown chakra, like this area up. And most successful business people operate from the heart down into the root chakra. The root chakra is the thing responsible for security and manifestation. The heart chakra is like, the soul. And then the crown chakra is like inspiration. And then you have the other ones in between. And so, most call them 3D people. Somebody will call them muggles, right? Your average, everyday Joe, mass consciousness guy operating from like usually the red up to the heart chakra. They'll come to a Reiki healer being like, hey, I need to do this journey from heart to spirit. And then your average creative or intuitive will be like, hey, I'm operating in my heart, my spirit, and I need to get down to the like 3-dimensional. How do I, turn my passion into my business that I can live off of and I can eat off of, which I have done, not easily, but I've done with Soulworks Sea Cows. I've lived off of it since 2012. 5 bottles going into its fifth year. Well, it'd be sixth year, but it's not easy. I mean, it's being in the industry in the first place is difficult. I mean, just being in an industry, it's not like toothpaste or a used car. It's not like something people quote unquote need. They do need it, but they don't believe they need it. It's not an absolute necessity. You won't die if you don't get a Reiki session every month. I mean, your chakras will get clogged and it might, make your life harder, but people don't see it as a necessity. So sometimes it's hard to exist inside of that space, but it's your purpose, so you can't exist outside of that space. What else was I going to talk about as far as that goes? I had a point to that. Anyways, so as far as being a creative and intuitive, it can already be difficult. Oh, that's what I was going to say. And then, of course, we have this whole economy thing that's going on, which people could really, actually, a lot of people really need a lot of like peace of mind right now. So being an intuitive, a creative, or a coach could actually be a good thing right now. You may have to give people some discounts or do some scholarships because the economy will be the way it is, but this doesn't have to be like the end of your healing career or your creative, whether you're a musician or an artist. There's a huge benefit of having a lot of extra time right now. So if content is a very valuable thing in the information age, and this is a good time to create content, whatever your content is. Videos, blogging, poetry, art, music, you know, coaching, curriculum, whatever it is. Like, take advantage of this time. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. So if you get annoyed by it, then I'm sorry. But I'm just going to keep giving you that loving reminder from my heart to yours. It's a great time to create. Let's call it an incubation period, basically. There's never a time that we're not in the 3 stages of the caterpillar. We're either in the work stage, which is the caterpillar stage, we're in the incubation stage, which is the cocoon stage, or we're in the butterfly stage, which is the expansion stage. So this is a pretty cocoony stage for the whole planet. That's right, I said cocoony. I just made up a new word. I do that. I'm creative. So yeah, basically the reason why I like to assist creative and intuitives because I myself am one and I understand their struggle. Long story short, I think that was the point I was trying to make. I understand their struggle. I'm like an urban survivalist. I've been pretty much on my own since I was like 5. So I'm sorry that I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not Robert Kiyosaki. I can't tell you how to be a multimillionaire. I don't know how. I've struggled with that myself, owning multiple businesses and never hitting the $1 million mark. But I have, like I said, I've survived many extinction level events, and I still get to live my passion. And for some, that's considered success. Do I have my struggles? Hell yeah, I do. Is this going to be an interesting time over the next 18 months, 2 years? I'd say so, just because my experience of the 2008 housing crash, that was like US based and then became a global thing. And this is like a global thing right now already. And people will heal, but the economy is going to take a little bit of time to bounce back. They did pass the $2 trillion stimulus package today, but I don't know how much that's going to help everyday people. I think I think the big business and government's going to benefit, but they did stimulus packages back in 2008, and all it did was keep all the big companies from tanking. The rest of us still struggled. So I think there's a few millionaires that couldn't buy an island that year, but they could buy an island the next year. So for the 1%, nothing's going to really change. One less Lamborghini this year, but for the rest of us, educate yourself. I'm going to put them up here. Educate, number 1, boom, EARM method. Educate yourself, apply what you know. So don't just think about it, do something about it, actually try it out, repeat it, get to the space of mastery, and then it either becomes what you do or you become an expert being able to teach people what you do, or both. So that's it for today. Video went longer than I expected. Like, subscribe if this is a YouTube video, share with your friends. I'm going to put this on Facebook, and I don't know, I'm not going to tell you how many because I don't want to create the obligation, but I've got more videos that I'll be sharing over the course of the next 12 days to help you guys out there that are like me, creative intuitives overcoming depression, that want to save the world and have fun doing it and feed their family at the same time. It's pretty niche, I think, but hey, you find your purpose, stick with it. Love you guys. Peacemaker out. Love y'all.